Welcome back. The third Gauteng EFF conference is currently underway in Boksburg. Conference officially kicked off last night, and it will soon begin the process of nominating the top 5 to lead the province. The party was left without a permanent chairperson for 2 years following the resignation of Mandisa Mashego. Now, our reporter Mbali Thethani is following that story and joins us now live. Mbali, good afternoon, and thank you for joining us. You are at the Gauteng ANC elective conference. We do know that the party, or rather the province, was without a leader. The acting chairperson had been in the role since 2019 when Mandisa Mashego had sent in her resignation. Who do we expect to be nominated today?
Well, of course, the EFF conference here in Gauteng is indeed underway, and we are expecting the party to now zoom into the issues around seeing that nominations process get underway. But before they do that, we understand that they're currently dealing with the organizational report as well as the treasurer's report, and we do know that these need to be adopted by this conference before they go ahead and have those nominations. And you would remember, coming into this conference, there were a number of reports saying that the EFF leader, Julius Malema, is trying to meddle when it comes to who he wants to ascend to the position of chairperson. And you would know that the name around, of course, Nkululeko Dunga, who is the chairperson in Ekurhuleni, has been doing the rounds, with some saying that that is the preferred candidate for Julius Malema to ascend to that position. And you know that Uitani Mukwebo is currently the acting chairperson of the ANC, or rather the EFF here in Gauteng, and we understand that many are expecting him to retain that position, but some are also saying that he's someone who's likely to remain in the province's top 5. At the same time, we also know that Mushe Koma, who is the secretary, is someone that the EFF would also want for him to retain his position, because you'd know that going into 2024, those 2024 elections, quite crucial to the EFF, because we do understand that they are currently in negotiations with the ANC when it comes to those who will run the metro municipalities, and as well as if the country goes into a coalition in 2024, that these two parties will need to be negotiating at an even higher level. But just to give us an insight in terms of how conference has been going on so far, we are joined by the EFF's national spokesperson. His name is Sinawa Tambo. Sinawa, of course, conference taking off quite late, but you have done most of your work so far. Very important to this conference is who ascends to that top 5 structure. We are expecting that to be dealt with quite extensively once they are done with the adoption of those 2 reports.
Yes, so after the adoption of the organizational and treasurer's report, we are going to proceed to the nominations of the top 5, which is constituted by a chairperson, a deputy chairperson, a secretary, deputy secretary, and treasurer. That is going to lead the provincial command team, a 21-person provincial command team of the EFF towards the 2024 elections and over the next 4 years. So we are expecting delegates to remain as disciplined as they have been. They are having robust discussions on the reports and reflecting on what was said within them now, and we expect them to elect the best amongst themselves as delegates.
Quite crucial for this province, especially when you talk of 2024, because we keep on talking around this issue of a coalition government. Not only do we find ourselves in a coalition government at key metro municipalities in this province, but at the same time, Gauteng also remains a province that could likely find itself in a coalition. And of course, when you do select those leaders, it will be very important in terms of how they will sway their voters in the EFF's favor come 2024.
Absolutely. I mean, it's become apparent that the ANC is not going to reach a 50% threshold in the Gauteng province, and possibly even nationally. So Gauteng is going to be a critical place where the EFF must constitute itself as a factor if there's going to be a coalition arrangement. But of course, we are going to be aiming for outright victory. In that situation, the EFF must ensure that it plays a critical role, and that is something that the Deputy President of the EFF, Floyd Shivambu, highlighted in his keynote address yesterday, that we must not find ourselves as insignificant in terms of the politics that play themselves out in the metropolitans in Gauteng. And that is the situation that is currently happening, and that's why there's so much instability in Johannesburg and Tshwane. The African National Congress and the EFF combined do not constitute enough majority to take over these metropolitans. So we need to be able to be mindful, as the Deputy President said, that we must not lose critical metropolitans back to white political parties who have a different interests which are opposed to the interests of our people. And that is the trajectory that we're going in at this date and time. So the EFF must increase its capacity to win the vote of our people, to protect Tshwane from going back to being Pretoria, to protect Johannesburg from going back to being a rand place that is run by Afrikaners. Recently in Johannesburg, a councillor who called the EFF councillor Monkey Girl has been released from his duties there. So you can see the emerging tendency of arrogance, of white arrogance in these cities, in these provinces, because of the lack of the convincing of our people to vote for the EFF. So it's critically important for us to ensure that we're effective.
All right, thank you very much. That is indeed Sinao Tambo, the national spokesperson of the EFF, just talking about how crucial this conference is for the EFF in terms of going into the 2024 elections, when we know a number of political parties are beginning to negotiate amongst themselves in terms of what will happen should the country find itself in a coalition government in 2024.